There you go. There you go. Oop, there you go.
Is it all set up?
Yeah, it's live right now, right here, right now.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay. We were a little tired yesterday, so we cannot recap day 2.
Oh my god.
But right
We
now,
thought this conference couldn't get any better.
well, you thought that.
I
did not think
That's
that.
what I thought from that first night.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, it doesn't get better than this. And then it did.
Lord. So much has happened.
Then it did.
How would you describe how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the typical thing, but I guess it's kind of cliche for a reason. When you go to conferences, right, it's like you're drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much stuff. You're just going to be overwhelmed with all the things.
Yeah.
But in such a good way that I was talking to you about this too, it kind of sets a fire on me just to be motivated and inspired.
Yeah.
Just to continue to do different works, to put out blogs,
right,
to put out different things, podcasts, all the different stuff, just to push out the work. Mm-hmm. Because we're hearing so much from people who are doing the work, mm-hmm. people who have been doing the work, people who are inspiring us and different people here to do the work. Yeah. And so it's just like a fire kind of under my belly. I feel like to keep on doing that.
And I feel like if I was going to describe how I feel in this moment, it's very hopeful. I feel hopeful that I found people that think
like that
and believe like me. And I know that can be taken contextually different ways, but when you feel like you've been on a process of decolonizing your faith and deconstructing your faith, and not everybody gets it or understands it, these people have been doing this, either have already deconstructed, are still deconstructing, have already decolonized, or are still decolonizing, and are also practicing missional type of theology, meaning they are doing the mission of Jesus in the places that they live, occupy, and work and play.
Yeah.
Is like, oh my gosh, it gives me a vision that I can keep doing this because I'm not the only one, and that there are more people doing this type
people
of
like
work.
us. That's what I meant. Even saying like I feel like we're home. In a sense, it's like when I feel like we're home, this is the people.
Yeah.
Who are like,
oh my gosh.
I mean, feeling words are feel blessed or happy, just fully satisfied. To be around people.
Yeah. And this
who
being
are about the work.
This being the first time we've ever been to a CCDA, I can't even believe this has been happening and been in existence for 30 to 40 years.
Yeah, and this is both of our first times here.
Yeah, and I also feel very like a lot of tangibles, like being, which we'll get into, but tangibles as far as even books we picked up that I can read or study, or content that
people
I can bring people to follow and their work to consume or read or follow along in their journey and even connect with. Why don't you start with some of your highlights, like even from today? Let's start with today and then go yesterday, because I feel like today's more recent.
Yeah, so today's day 2 of the conference, full day, second full day of the conference. And all of today, for me, the major point has been connecting with people. And so it's really cool to connect with this guy named Peter, who's a reverend out in Los Angeles, California, who knows a local pastor that's a friend of ours in Phoenix named Kimberly Deckel. And she had found out that we were both here at the same time and put us in a group text and said, you guys got to connect with each other. So I connected with him and his group of friends, and that was so life-giving. We went out to lunch. They have these like networking times.
It was like having lunch with aunties and uncles.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, we were fully black, the loudest ones in the restaurant for sure, just talking and laughing.
Yeah.
And it's like we had said, even when we were sitting down talking for lunch, it's like, man, this is what the conference is for. Like, this is the best time of like being able to connect with people who are doing work, who are talking about justice and liberation in their context, and how we can inspire each other, share resources, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
A big thing of the conferences like these. I like all the speakers, all the people have said a lot of good stuff, and a lot of stuff that's like been feeding my soul.
Yeah.
But then it's like, for me personally too, because I'm such a relational person, be able to meet people who are doing the work has been awesome. And then today, specifically, being able to meet some cool people. Dominic Gilliard, who's written a lot about racism in the church.
Yeah, he wrote a book called I think it's Reimagining Incarceration or Rethinking Incarceration.
That's right. Yeah, he does a lot of work
Yeah.
concerning mass incarceration.
Mm-hmm. And he just wrote a book called Subversive Witness.
Yeah,
which you got. You picked that up.
Yeah, yep. Subversive Witness. So I got to talk with him a little bit, which was super cool. Talking with him a little about where he's from, what he's got going on, and all that stuff was super cool. And then getting to hear from a lot of awesome people, the authors of Unsettling Truth, Soong-Chan Rah and Mark Charles, who were both here and got to go to their workshop. They're just hearing and speaking too for some of these like people who are just kind of are helping shape the theology and are forming people like myself, like Erin, and people in CCD contexts and people even in other spaces who are now going on a path of decolonizing and deconstructing, that they're the ones who have kind of helped initiate that and catalyze that for people. So it's cool to meet them and like, man, these are the people who are forming the theology of what we're doing, and giving the language and all that stuff. And so it's actually cool to meet a lot of them.
Yeah.
That was from today. A few highlights, but what about you? What are you thinking?
I was going to add on. So Mark Charles. So if you followed along in the past year or two and things I posted and learned and shared, especially on Facebook and Instagram too, there's a book I read called Unsettling Truths by Mark Charles and Soong-Chan Rah. They did a workshop today on the doctrine of discovery, which they break that down and how just the colonization of our faith and the history of our faith and where it comes from. A lot of hard, difficult stories. I literally wept as I listened to that audiobook back almost a year ago, I would say. Anyways, to be able to be in the room while these two men that wrote this book that has completely changed my life was almost like, man, it's so meaningful and almost like a moment that I could commemorate.
Yeah.
That I heard their voice and the truth that they were saying impacted my physical body and will continue to make an impact on me is really meaningful. Also, to find out that they met at a CCDA conference like 20 years ago is really meaningful, which means that this type of place and this type of event brings meaningful connections. And from those connections come more meaningful work that make impact on people like me. Also, being able to go to the Ivy Press Lounge, which is where all the authors and speakers kind of hang out. And so Mark Charles was there. And so he signed my book and I got to tell him how his book impacted my life, which I never thought I'd actually get to do. I was just hoping to be able to get a picture, maybe. Crazy. But I got to get a chance to get a picture and also tell him how much his book impacted my life, and how I wound up quitting my job to do something more meaningful. And he was like, you got to read this other book, which I forgot the name of the book that he told me to read. But he's like, basically, what's happening in the church is also happening in corporate America, just the colonization of things.
Yeah, which I fully believe that.
Yeah.
I even think of friends we have, another Pope, Jessica Pope, talking about her experience that she was working at. And her relationship with people of color who are in that space who are just like, oh my goodness, this isn't it. Being in this system, and like even, I mean, it'd be cool to do a study on, now we hear just record numbers of people leaving.
Oh my gosh. I think
there is, I'm pretty sure like people of color can attribute that to
100%. I think
just
people
the whiteness,
are leaving
white supremacy in organizations.
I think people are leaving corporate America for the same reasons that they're leaving the church. White supremacy. It's infiltrated in everything and everywhere. So unless you're operating by something that isn't that, people are leaving.
Which is encouraging. It's like it's going to get called out.
100%.
Get called out.
100%. So that was really meaningful. Kendall made fun of me. He was like, "You're like a kid in the candy store." I'm like, it's like Christmas.
It's like a kid in a candy store walking around with these books. That's Mark Charles.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
There was another person too. I want to give a shout out to, Indigenous woman who spoke to Lenore.
Mark Charles is Indigenous, so that's
Mark Charles is Indigenous. So another Indigenous person who spoke today for our morning session was Lenore 3 Stars, who I thought she was super proud. She went up, so she's kind of older Indigenous women, kind of quiet,
low key voice, didn't have to say very much, just drop.
Didn't have to say much, but just dropping all these bombs.
Yeah.
And said a lot of really good stuff. I think I think one thing I've always look at what we can learn as African Americans from different cultures and what they do really well. And I think she even shared, introduced herself and talking about her kinship and the land she's from, where there's power, I think, when you do talk about your kinship, when introducing yourself or talking about really who you are as part of your story. And so I think that's been a common theme too, that I've kind of been hearing and looking at sign with, is like really understanding family of origins, where I'm coming from, and kind of that family narrative and story and carrying forward.
And it's harder to do, especially when you're someone like me that doesn't necessarily have books upon who my ancestors are, but it does make me want to dig and talk to more of my family members that do remember and do have stories and do have some type of things written down, and collect those things to then merge them with the type of work I'm doing and the type of things that I communicate with the world. Because story was for sure a common theme. I went to a workshop on stories, and it gave me a lot of cool ideas for Kaleo stories and some of the events that we'll have at Kaleo. But the other person I got to meet.
One last thing that this time before you get, because this has been a big thing too. That's even has been formed in me from the seminary I go to in Phoenix, is her talking about how Indigenous people have a strong theology of the land and of creation, even in their own Indigenous stories that they tell, and then even her as a believer looking into the Bible has this really strong theology of God's creation and being in a relationship with it, and not being like owner of it, where it's like our property. But it being something that was there right before us, and what does our relationship look like?
She said, the earth is your relative, not property that you dominate. We belong to the land.
That's what she said. We belong to the land. And that it's our relative. And so it's like,
that framework is different.
Think of that framework and that worldview. And she talked a lot about worldviews and that, which I love all that stuff.
My God.
And so that paradigm just completely changes on how you operate in your lifestyle, in your relationship.
Even the way you think about buying a house. And property, the gaining and the obtaining of property and things.
I think, was it her who called that out, or was that Mark Charles?
She called it out. He may have mentioned it. But then remember at the end, she was also on a panel. So she had a primary keynote, but then she also had a panel. And she, at the end, I keep getting Pastor Sang-hoon and Sung Chang Ra. Their names a little bit mixed up. But Sung Chang Ra was leading this panel, and he said, okay, one final piece of advice that you would give to people that are here. Her only words of advice were, it's simple, give it back.
Everybody was like,
but like, give the land back, give the resources back, give the stuff back. And granted, there are a lot of white people that are here, which is so surprising to me, but also encouraging, because that means that they are engaging in the work, because they're
reading these books that people are writing,
because they're
having these conversations.
There's no way that you are here and haven't already settled within yourself that you're going to be uncomfortable as a white person. But also, if you're here, it's because you're committed to doing some type of work on some type of level to see conciliation in relationship between multi-ethnic people and people groups and spaces and places, which was really cool. But anyways, I'm so excited right now. Okay, Sandra, being able to meet Sandra Van Opstal. So Sandra Van Opstal, Tana, who I know you're probably, maybe, I don't want to assume, but you may watch this. Tana introduced me to Sandra. I don't know, during summer of 2020, there's a lot of different things I was consuming. I was trying to hear different voices. She is a Latina woman married to a white man in the inner city of Chicago. I believe she's a pastor. She's connected
been in CCD world for I think the majority of her kind of theological development and growing up.
She's an author. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's a speaker. She has done a lot, and she's not that old, and she's really impactful, and she is very connected with her emotions when she speaks, and she speaks truth to power. And it was so awesome to witness her live in person. Once again, to just witness her words hitting my physical body and the sensation of what that means. And it goes beyond what I can describe to you in this moment, because I know that I will carry with me what she said. But to be able to make the connection between Tana, Sandra Van Opstal, and then I didn't think I would have the chance to meet her in person, but I was in line for coffee and she was 3 people in front of me, and I was like, Sandra, oh my gosh, and so we got a picture. I need to get the picture so I can post it. But yeah, I mean, and to just sense from her that she really believes in me and the work that I'm doing, and like remembered that I just got married, remembered that I've been almost a year pastoring, knows a little bit about my life and the work that I'm doing, and genuinely asked, how are you doing? And somebody like her that I look up to, a woman of color in this space doing this type of work and has been doing it a lot longer than I have, is meaningful beyond what I could really describe. So that was super, like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought I would have ever met her in person. And then she asked if I could be a part of some interview for her, but we were only messaging. I gave her my number, so I don't know if we'll ever actually do the interview, but it was just cool to be asked. It's like, you want to interview me? Why? You don't need to. And then, so Peter, who Kendall mentioned, we met for lunch. All the Black people that were there. There was this Black lady.
They were part of his denomination.
RTC?
RCC, I think, Reformed Christian Community Church or something like that. But yeah, the group of people.
Denise
this lady,
Grier.
Denise Grier.
Listen when I tell you.
Oh my goodness.
This woman.
Such a good find.
I think her website, which she started this project, is so much. I don't even know where to start. But she started this project called onecorproject.com or something like that, or 1 Corinthians 13 project.com. We made a connection. I want to interview her at some point, but she just has a wealth of knowledge about conciliation work and relationship with white people and people of color. She pastored for a long time, was a lead pastor of a church in Michigan, I believe. And now, as of 2 months ago, became one of the pastors on staff. It was it was interesting. Her title has something with renewal in it, which I thought that was interesting. She's part of some renewal project process at Mars Hill Church, which was founded by Rob Bell. For those of you who know who he is, I was like, what? Rob Bell? His documentary is amazing. He's written so many books that are super controversial, which is so much which is really good for somebody that's trying to decolonize their faith, right? And he is kind of a forerunner, so to speak, as far as content and publishing and book and all of that. And he's a great documentary on Amazon Prime if you ever want to listen to it. Anyways, that was really meaningful to just meet her and make that connection. She also mentored Johanna Mason, which is this young Black girl that I used to go to church with at Family Harvest Church back in the day. I'm like, how do you know her? And she's like, how do you know her? Small world. She's also the sister of Jay Thomas. And
Jay Thomas is
Jay Thomas, if any of you know, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Jay Thomas was the one that led me to IHOP KC when I was looking for an internship or something else to do when I didn't want to work at Family Harvest Church anymore. So now his sister is sitting right in front of me.
That's her brother.
What are we talking about? What is happening? And then I got to tell her how I invited Jay Thomas to FHC. Wasn't at that conference because I had gotten fired by then. Long story, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we were just like so many overlapping connections. Then Peter and all of his crew, they know Oye and Chris Waddell and Hustle. They know Erin Daly with Redemption Alhambra. They know, who else is it? Kimberly Deckel, of course. She was the connection.
She was the connection. And some different service people too. I think
They know Danae as well.
People.
Just so many crazy overlapping connections. Like every person, one of the gentlemen was spouting off to me that he knows in Phoenix. I'm like, I know them. Right? And not just like know of them. I actually have had numerous conversations with them. We work with them. We support them. We're in partnership with them, which is really cool. So I just feel really excited. And like I have renewed hope and faith in just the work to come. You know, I know it's hard, but I'm not doing it alone.
Like I said, you just get excited. Like I feel just anxious to get back home and just to say things to the people in discipling, to write the things, to post the things.
And the last thing I'll say, the other person from today that I really loved was, her name's Peace Amadi, Dr. Peace Amadi. She's actually connected with Dr. Caroline Leaf, which is a big name
I
in
didn't
that
know
world. She did an
that.
Instagram live with her not too long ago.
I
But
know
she's
that.
a young Black woman. She's got to be in her mid 30s, maybe late
Yeah.
30s, maybe.
She had such a like real story she
Oh my
shared on the
gosh.
panel.
She was on the
She
panel.
was on.
And I also went to her workshop, which was about spiritual bypassing, and how to enter into each other's pain. Listen, she is something really special. And I don't know how, but I want to figure out how to work with her, because it's like those are the types of people we need to be supporting. If you're talking about supporting Black women, then support Black women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, I don't know who's going to watch this, but I'm just going to put it out here. This is encouraging. We got to talk about the reparations.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it. So, sitting with
it's
Peter.
It's been brought up so many different times.
Oh my gosh. And these people aren't afraid of the conversation, which it's an anomaly in some spaces, but in other places,
it almost seems like it's a dream, like, oh, we can't.
No,
can't
it's
do that.
happening.
But part of the reimagining, right? The name of this conference is like, no, let's not, nothing's off the table where we say, like, that's ridiculous. It's like, no, let's talk about reparations. That's a real thing.
Yeah, but you want to tell the story?
No, you go for it.
So essentially, I'll keep it short because I know we want to recap our highlights from yesterday too, right?
Yeah, if we have time.
We might just wrap it up, but anyways.
Yeah. So much stuff. It's
so
also
much.
Good.
So much.
We might just have to do like another overview of this. And maybe.
There's so many pieces of content we need to make, which we will make because that's the focus for next year. Anyways, let me get back to this. Reparations. So we've talked about things we've dreamed about just in conversation amongst ourselves, Kendall and I, is like, man, wouldn't it be so cool if churches, like white churches, just started leading the way in reparations? What would that look like? What if white pastors started saying, you know what, the government's not doing it, but we're going to do it, and we're going to lead the way in what should be happening to Black and brown people in the United States? Then at the table with the people we met today, 2 Black men literally said, a white pastor during summer of 2020, a lot of people were asking them, like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? He made a post and put it on Facebook that basically said one of the things was reparations. Give Black people money. Like, that's one way you can help. That's one way you can support. And literally this white pastor
in
wrote,
Phoenix
that we know. Wrote them a check for $25,000, both of them individually. And they didn't even know that they told each other, and they're like, he just did the same thing for me. And not like with strings attached, not like, hey, speak at my church 6 times, let me know where it's going, make sure it's to a charity. No, it was like spend it on a house down payment, use it for a car, use it for whatever, a vacation, whatever you want to do. I was like, $25,000?
Right?
Man, like, and that's like
if we could, like, if we had something like that, right? Get a house that would like.
Oh my God!
Set
if we
us.
Had $25,000, if somebody just gifted us with $25,000,
that would be
what?
Right?
But what it meant for me to witness that testimony of something that happened literally 2 summers ago is this isn't far off. This isn't something that's a dream that's so far off. People are actually doing it. And it can continue to happen, you know, and it just makes me hopeful that although the world is crazy and there's a lot of pain and a lot of bad things happening, there are good things happening, and there are people that are committed to doing the subversive thing to create a new narrative, as Sung Chung Ra talked about when it comes to imagination.
I think that's been a big thing too.
Is counter narratives.
Creating those counter narratives.
Man, and so I'm pumped, obviously. I've been sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm like,
I know,
interrupting you. I'm like, listen to me. Listen.
I feel like during the beginning of the day, you were sluggish.
I was
tired. You were tired.
I was.
And now you just got a boost of energy. I feel like now I'm like, whew, I can take a nap.
Yeah, I do need to use the bathroom really bad though. But
we'll handle that.
Yeah, but what you talking about? Handle that? Why are you using my words?
Go handle it.
Anything else you want to say, babe? Oh. Also, last person from yesterday, Dr. Cassandra Gould.
Oh yeah, this amazing Black. I mean the person before him too. Let me say this real quick because it might connect with what you're thinking. The person before him is a guy named Adam Taylor, who's the CEO of Sojourners.
Yes.
Amazing organization working with immigrant communities, doing different things with justice as well, with policing, just like doing amazing work. He's the Black CEO of it. Had said something really, really kind of inspiring and encouraging. in terms of faith and talking about what did he call it? Spiritual vibranium. He had talked about the God within us and God in us, and went to the Black Panther and talked about us as kingdom people, right? In this country, in this land, like you're saying with reparations, it needs to be Christianity, it needs to be the church who is leading this stuff for justice, who's leading this stuff not even for reconciliation. I hate saying that now because there was no harmony, right, to begin with. But just to begin something new, unity and equality. For Christians and those kingdom people to be the ones who are modeling that. In order to do that, like we have the vibranium. Like Wakanda was that country that was further ahead than all of the other countries and was modeling. It's like, oh, we're that.
And that was the whole premise of Dr. Cassandra's message too, which was remember who you are. And I don't remember the characters' names, but essentially when he was down for the count and his mom whispered
Black Panther
and just mouthed the words, remember who you are. And from that moment, strength came up back in him and he blew it up. So her whole, I'm fired up. But essentially, her encouragement, she was like, it was watching Dr. Cassandra speak was like watching my grandmother speak. She was fiery. Her cadence was consistent and punchy, and she knew what she was talking about. And there was no questions about what she was saying. But her main point that I walked away with was remember who you are. And when you remember who you are, you speak the truth. And when you speak the truth, you blow things up. Don't be afraid to go into spaces and blow it up. Blow the whole thing up. Because what is currently is not working. So blow it up and make something completely new. And you can only do that by remembering who you are, whose you are, stepping into your identity and reimagining the spaces and places you occupy. And I was like,
that's so good.
Who is that person? His name's Al Carpenter. Al, the dude that always shows up anytime an injustice happens in the inner city.
Al Sharpton.
And that was who she was correlating, because he said something. As people were asking him, why do you always show up whenever there's an injustice in the inner city? Because he's like, I know when I show up, I'm going to blow it up.
It's going to be on the news.
It's going to be on the news.
It's going to be trending.
Exactly. Because when he shows up, he's going to give voice to people's voices that wouldn't have been heard if his presence was not there. And then she brought it back to Wakanda Forever, right? Remember who you are. And also, when you show up, blow it up. And I was like, let's freaking go. Let's go.
It's so good.
So I'm pumped. I'm really pumped.
We want to take so much of our friends, family,
next
people
year.
next year.
It's supposed to be in North Carolina. Next year, supposedly. We'll find out for sure tomorrow, but they have family. Dooley's have family. Well, I guess I'm a Dooley now too. We have family in North Carolina. So it'd be cool to just make it a family trip / come to this conference.
Stay with them.
Which made this really possible for us because his brother Savon lives here, so we got to stay with him. So anyways, I'm rambling. I have to use the bathroom really bad, and the last session starts in 15 minutes, so we should probably go. But we love you guys.
It's just tonight, which is going to be awesome. I'm excited for tonight. You guys speaking tonight, Equal Justice Initiative. No, not Equal Justice Initiative. He spoke this morning. This guy who deals with urban youth, which I know a lot of different people in the country who've been trained by him. And so to hear him speak is going to be really cool for me since I work with youth. And then tomorrow morning, it will be the last session, and then we're out of here. So,
we love you guys.
Definitely a life-changing experience.
You'll hear more from us, especially if we do daily live together. I'm sure you'll hear more about it, but we love you guys, and talk to you later. Bye. Okay.